Hello and welcome to Vision Denial and Road to MSI with Meet the Teams. My name is Sam and I've watched every single playoff of all the regions. Asterisk, EMEA needs to have a better system for winter. I did not watch it. Today, or currently, we are taking a look at Cloud9, Seed 1 for LCS in North America coming into MSI. They are a rather dominant team who are, surprisingly enough, giving a little bit of hope for North America. Is it a false hope? I mean, let's take a look at what they've got to offer. Nope, much of the stats that I've got going here, you'll be able to see in the description down below with the particular document that I will be linking. Let's start with the coaching staff and their playstyle. We've got Mithy. Many people will remember Mithy as the long-time European support turned coach, starting with Cloud9 as the coaching staff, going to 100 Thieves before returning back to them as the head coach itself. And in terms of the playstyle for Cloud9, you'll notice a lot of very objective-focused, neutral objective to be specific. They're 6th in game duration and 6th in gold per minute, fairly average and middling in terms of all of the different teams. 10th in gold difference at 15, which is not great for the kind of playstyle they want to go for, but as well as last in tower difference at 15 minutes and first turrets. But they're first with win rate ahead at 15, 95% or 94.7, but 95% of the games they have a lead at 15 minutes, they win. They're second in damage per minute, 5th in first blood, 1st in Drakes, 3rd in Heralds, and 1st in Barons. Where their laning phase is most definitely not the focus, the neutral objectives are. They have a lack of ability to focus on their turrets, but they will always team fight you, skirmish, and go head to head for every Herald, Baron, and Drake. You cannot discount that this method was effective in North America, and they may be effective going into MSI, given how heavily they focus on that. Let's meet the top laner of Cloud9, Fudge. Fudge, this Oceanic player, has played the vast majority of his career on Cloud9, briefly as a mid laner, but mostly as a top laner. And what a powerhouse for them. 2nd in KDA amongst top laners, 4th in CS per minute, 8th in gold per minute, falling around the average, but 2nd in damage, 2nd in kill participation, 4th in kill share, and tied 7th for gold share. The only thing that seems to be notable is that he's 10th in champions played, with a very limited pool of champions that he plays from. He's a fairly proficient powerhouse for Cloud9 in terms of team fighting and in some cases side lane pressure, but he seems to be using it mostly for the ability around Baron and Herald, occasionally Drakes. Fairly strong. I mean, like, he's no slouch. He will be a competitor amongst the others. Let's meet Cloud9's jungler, Blabber. Blabber has been a mainstay in Cloud9 since 2018 and has seemed to be incredibly content with his debut team. And frankly, his stats are a little perplexing compared to the other junglers around him. There's a lot of proficient junglers, but he falls 9th in KDA, 7th in gold per minute, 11th in kill participation, last in kill share, and 10th in gold share overall. His most notable stats is 4th in CS per minute, where he farms quite a bit within the early game, 4th in damage per minute, where he does a lot of skirmishing 1v1, and 2nd in champions played, having a wider champion pool than most of the other junglers. That said, around neutral objectives he excels in, but given how proficient they are at capturing neutral objectives overall, his KDA and everything else about how Blabber plays, you notice a trend of risk taking in that particular sense. not a lot is involved in assisting laners, and a lot of it is in assisting himself to make sure that eventually they have the ability to capture these neutral objectives with ease. Let's meet Cloud9's mid laner, Jimenez. This particular Korean player bounced around the Challenger Leagues a little bit since 2019 before getting his debut in Cloud9 in Season 13. Amongst mid laners, there is not much notable about him. In fact, he falls fairly below average. 11th in KDA, 8th in CS per minute, 6th in gold per minute, 11th in kill participation, 6th in kill share, 8th in gold share, last in number of champions played, being the least flexible of all the mid laners heading towards MSI. But the notable stat here is 3rd in damage per minute. Jimenez provides so much pressure, especially with the damage that he puts, and it speaks a lot to the aggressive play that you see him do in his laning phase. He does not stand out necessarily amongst other mid laners, going at least into MSI, but he does provide a role within Cloud9 in allowing pressure to be built up for securing those objectives. Let's meet the bot laner of Cloud9, and this is where the meat and potatoes comes from it. This challenger bot laner from T1 has been with Cloud9 since Season 12 and with great success. Amongst his contemporaries going into MSI, he is a powerhouse. 2nd KDA, 3rd CS per minute, 2nd gold per minute, 4th damage per minute, 3rd in kill participation, 3rd in kill share, 2nd in gold share. The only thing he seems to not be topping the charts is the number of champions played, but given the limited pool that bot laners tend to work with, this is crazy good regardless. He's a standout player amongst his contemporaries and a major reason why Cloud9 plays the kind of style they do. And it would not surprise me that he would have a large target on his back going into MSI. He downright, I think, will outplay many of the bot laners, if not all of them. I have my doubts all of them, but he is by far a player to watch going into MSI. His stats are crazy compared to everybody else. Let's meet the support player for Cloud9, Sven. This particular European bot laner switched to support in the tail end of Season 12, and despite the growing pains, there has been some solid success. Amongst the other support players, he fares above average for the most part, surprisingly. 5th in KDA, 4th in kill participation, 6th in kill share, but last in champions played, being the least flexible support player around, which is not a good sign going into MSI. He's, however, amongst with his team because it's a team-based particular statistic, but in terms of vision, 3rd in almost every stat for vision play, which is quite incredible for mostly just in general. The consistency at play here is also a marker as how they are able to get away with a lot of the neutral objective-based play. He's above average for team fighting and excellent in vision application. He's made so far a solid transition, but again, the champion diversity may hurt his situation in the event there is a major meta change. My final thoughts necessarily from this team is that a couple of things. The team excels around neutral objective play, and this really reflects in the way that they focus on Berserker and Fudge. The lack of early turret plates and turrets themselves worry me a little bit as a team that spends so much time on developing early leads for their laners and capturing neutral objectives. The pacing of their game is so slow, and the fact that they've been seldom challenged in their league tells me that I'm uncertain how well they're going to be able to deal with a lot of other teams that know how to play, from one, while behind, and two, who know how to develop incredibly heavy leads early, especially with turret plates and turrets. So to me, it's just a matter of time of, do they adjust their play to reflect the meta / teams that they're going to be facing off, or do they double down on their very heavy neutral objective focused play that has done them so well for the year so far? Well, we'll get to see. Again, if you have the chance, you'll be able to see all the stats that I put down below. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you when MSI starts. Thank you again for watching. Greatly appreciated. These kinds of videos take quite a bit of time. If you're interested, we've got over here more videos about the other teams that have qualified for MSI. And if you're curious about the process in which I've watched every single playoff, here's a playlist of the road itself to MSI. If you have any particular thoughts, comments, or predictions, I'd love to hear those things down below. And if you care to, right below over here, this little button, you can click on it and subscribe.